If you want to make your own random perk generator thing in Fortnite Creative, here's how to make it. So when I go up to this button and enable the random perk, I get a random perk. I have the tracker device on the top left, then I had the HUD message on the top right, and it switches my class to that kind of perk class I have. And so when I get any consumable off this vending machine, it's infinite. Now when I die, which I'm gonna do now. So as you can see, when I died, I lost the tracker device on the top left, and my class has switched to like the starter class when you spawn. And I'm gonna show you how to make this. Alright, so in order for people to get the random perk, all they have to do is interact with the enable random perk button, and they'll get the random perk with the tracker device, the HUD message, and the random class. And then if they don't want it, without eliminating themselves, all they have to do is interact with the remove perk, and what they'll do is that they'll spawn over here, and it will eliminate them, and it will reset everything to the original class. So for the switch device, I do have use persistence on to only load what that player's database is. So if they have enabled the perk, they'll only see that, and if someone has the remove perk button, they'll only see that. So they'll only see what they have enabled. Alright, so start this mechanic. I'm gonna go all the way down, and when it's turned on, it starts on 7, and when it's turned off, it starts on 9. So on 9, you teleport, like I said, over here to eliminate yourself, to refresh the perk. And on 7, it activates this random number generator, which activates one of the 15 perks that I have. So yeah, these are all like the, devices that you have to have to set up this random perk kind of mechanic type of thing. So on 7, it activates this, and then it's like an instant. So it's like instant roll time, and it's 15, and it'll just choose one of these. Now the trigger does trigger the perk. So in order to kind of have like the perk kind of thing, you have to have the trigger device. So if it lands on this one, it'll trigger on 11, it'll trigger the HUD message, and then it'll switch that player to that class. And also the tracker device, it'll enable it until they get eliminated. So the amount of perks you want, you have to set for this number generator. So I had 15 perks, so the value limit to is set on 15, and yeah, there's a pretty good, decent, amount of perks that I have. Like you have the, super hammer, you have the super sword, the heist weapons, double damage, and all like this, glider redeployment, extra shield, recharge, and all that, like, really cool stuff that you can have in your maps, especially like the practice maps, just like in Battle Royale, the Augment. This is kind of like a rip-off version, but it is a very simple, easy mechanic to create in Creative. So when I started making this random perk mechanic, I started off right here, and I have like, I go to 10, to 11, I go on, so it doesn't really confuse me on like what channel I'm at or anything like that. Now I do use channels too. I don't use like the converted system. I think that's too difficult. The channels are just way much easier to kind of work with. So I start with 11, I start with 10, and then I go up to wherever I end at. So for here I have 10, and it triggers like, what kind of perk did you get, like health recharge, or so yeah, for this one it is health recharge, and for this one it'll start on 10. And I do the same thing. I start off with 2, and I go off to 3, because 1 is already taken for like the starter original kind of class for like the battles and stuff. So those settings displayed on the original class designer is displaced on here, but for this one there's only like an extra setting that is turned on. So let's just say all these are basic, and I just want to turn on infinite consumables. That would be like the only change on this that makes this different from that one. All the other settings are the same, like the health, everything else. So for the tracker device, I have there to remember the player, what kind of perk they have enabled, and how they can really use this to impact their experience in combat. So right here I have the tracker title as the health recharge, and a description of like what health recharge is, like what do you get from health recharge, and it's gain 3 health per second. And if you scroll down, I have like the quest icon and color, just to kind of add like just a little bit of details into the tracker device. Now I do the same thing for all these until I go up to this one, where it's the health thing. Every time you trigger this this trigger button, you get 100 health every trigger per 60 seconds, as which is the delay. Then you have the 1.25 damage. You have the random heisted weapon, and then I have like the 2 melees. I have the hammer and the sword. And then it goes on with the class designers, and then this one right here. So it's a pretty cool and simple mechanic that you can use. Now, it's very easy also. It just takes a little bit of work because you can get confused. Now, what you have to make sure is that if you ever change the Start Island class designer, you have to make sure to change this so it's up to date on what the normal people that don't have the perk are receiving. So to keep the weapons they get from the perk exclusive, when they get eliminated, it gets removed from their inventory. So when they get this green trigger button, and when they get eliminated, they'll get it removed. So when everything clears out, their weapon that they have in inventory that they got from the perk will also get wiped out. So they have the trigger thing, the mythic tactical pistol, and the Excalibur, and also the sword and the hammer. Now, which kind of keeps it, you know, perk exclusive. Now, you can drop this weapon, give it to other players, but it does disappear on the map, so it's not like an unlimited time span on like how long the weapon stays there. So there is like a disappearance of weapons in a certain amount of time on the battlefield and in the start island to kind of really keep it perk exclusive. If I enable the perk and I get the green thing and I give it to someone else, and when they get eliminated, they still get it removed. So it really is just exclusive to only perks, and you can't really like keep it forever unless you drop it and then get eliminated and keep going back. Like I said before, it does disappear, so it's kind of exclusive, which is the whole entire point of the perks. So if you're wondering how people lose their perk when they get eliminated, I have the elimination manager, and when they get eliminated, the channel transmit on 34, and what this does is that it turns off this to kind of refresh the button, and then when they come back from getting eliminated also and they spawn on the spawn pad, it transmits on channel 1, and what 1 does, it actually transmits on channel 500, which removes everything, the tracker device, the weapon, to kind of, you know, like I said, keep it perk exclusive and to kind of keep it going. Now you can enable infinite amount of perks. Now there is like a little delay on the button to kind of, you know, prevent spamming and stuff. This was like a very fast-paced tutorial on how to make the augments from Battle Royale into creative mode. That is like, you know, it really is like a simple mechanic to complete. But it takes some time on like you know, what kind of perks do you want to have, how you're gonna set it up with all like the changing settings to the HUD manager, the tracker device, the perks, the class designers. But it's a very cool design once you complete it, and it will really spice up the experience on the players that obtain the perks. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.